Stop! Before you watch this video, understand something uncomfortable. Your ego is ruining your life, and you don't even know it. It's the reason you overreact. It's the reason you feel disrespected. It's the reason you can't sleep after someone criticizes you. It's the reason you compare yourself every single day. And 2,300 years ago, a man named Zeno of Citium figured this out. Not in theory, in war, in loss, in humiliation, in failure. By the end of this video, you're either going to feel exposed or awakened, because what Zeno teaches about ego is not self-help. It's ego execution, and most people are not ready for it. Today, we are going back to the origin, to the man who started it all, the founder of Stoicism, Zeno of Citium, and we are going to dissect his philosophy on ego, pride, self-importance, and what it truly means to be free. Not the fake self-love, freedom, not the motivational quote, freedom, but the ruthless, uncomfortable, ego-shattering freedom that most people will never dare to touch. And if you stay until the end, you might realize something terrifying. Your ego is not your identity. It is your addiction. Let's begin. Zeno was not born powerful. He was not born respected. He was not born enlightened. He was a merchant until everything was taken from him. A shipwreck destroyed his cargo, his wealth, his former life. Imagine that today. Your business collapses overnight. Your investments crash. Your social media account gets deleted. Your reputation is ruined by one viral clip taken out of context. Who are you now? Most people would panic. Most people would spiral into despair. Most people would scream, "Why me?" But Zeno walked into a bookstore in Athens after losing everything, and instead of complaining, he asked one question: "Where can I find men like this?" He was pointing to the philosophers. That is where Stoicism was born. And right there is the first lesson about ego. Ego screams when it loses. Wisdom listens. Zeno understood something modern culture refuses to accept. Your ego is built on what can be taken from you. Your status, your money, your appearance, your follower count, your job title, your relationship, all of it is external, and anything external is fragile. Zeno's core teaching, what later Stoics would call living according to nature, means aligning yourself with reality, not fantasy. And reality is simple. You control your judgments. You control your choices. You control your character. You control nothing else. That's it. Now ask yourself honestly, how much of your identity is built on things you don't control? When someone criticizes you online, why does it hurt? Because your ego was invested in being admired. When your partner doesn't text back, why do you feel anxious? Because your ego was invested in being desired. When a colleague gets promoted instead of you, why does it sting? Because your ego was invested in recognition. Zeno would look at you calmly and say, "You have confused externals with self." And that confusion is the root of suffering. Let's get confrontational. Your ego wants validation more than it wants truth. That's why you argue to win, not to understand. That's why you post curated perfection while your mind is chaotic. That's why you fear looking stupid more than you fear being ignorant. Zeno's Stoicism destroys that, because in Stoicism, virtue is the only good. Not popularity, not wealth, not applause, not dominance. Virtue, and virtue has nothing to do with how impressive you look. It has everything to do with how disciplined your judgments are. Here is one of Zeno's radical teachings: indifference to externals. In modern language, this sounds weak. Don't care what people think. But Zeno did not mean emotional numbness. He meant something much more powerful, and he meant this: If something is not within your control, it is not worthy of your emotional slavery. Let's apply that to modern life. You post a video, it gets 200 views instead of 20,000. Your ego says, "You're failing. People don't care. You're not good enough." Zeno would ask, did you control the algorithm? Did you control the audience mood? Did you control the timing, trends, randomness? No. What did you control? The effort, the preparation, the intention, the integrity of the work. Then why are you suffering? Because your ego demanded applause as payment. Stoicism demands excellence without attachment. That is terrifying in a world addicted to metrics. Now let's go deeper. Zeno taught that emotions are not random storms. They are judgments. That is revolutionary. You are not angry because someone insulted you. You are angry because you judged the insult as harmful to your worth. You are not devastated because you failed. You are devastated because you judged failure as a verdict on your identity. The ego creates these judgments. It whispers, if they disrespect you, you must retaliate. If you lose, you are worthless. If you are ignored, you are nothing. Zeno dismantles this illusion. Your worth is not touched by opinion. It is touched only by your choices. And your choices are within your control. Let's talk about pride. Modern culture worships pride. Know your worth. Never let anyone disrespect you. Prove them wrong. But what if most pride is just insecurity wearing armor? Zeno lived simply. He dressed simply, he spoke plainly, and he did not try to appear superior. Why? Because the Stoic does not need to advertise strength. Strength is internal order. Weakness is external performance. If you constantly need to signal intelligence, power, dominance, your ego is starving. The truly strong person can be underestimated and remain calm. Can you? Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're in a meeting. Someone challenges your idea publicly. Your ego feels attacked. Your heart rate increases. You prepare a sharp comeback. But what if you paused? What if, instead of defending your image, you examined the criticism objectively? If it's valid, you improve. If it's invalid, it changes nothing about your character. Either way, your ego does not need to fight. That is Stoic power. Most people react. Few people respond. Zeno's philosophy trains you to respond. Now let's talk about the ultimate ego destroyer, impermanence. Zeno taught that everything external is temporary. Your body will age. Your fame will fade and your possessions will break. Your life will end. Brutal, yes, but liberating. Because once you deeply understand impermanence, your ego loses its obsession with control. Why obsess over status when time erases all status? Why cling to praise when memory forgets all names? The Stoic focuses on something death cannot take. Character, your discipline, your integrity, your rational mind. That is your true self. Not your profile picture, not your bank balance, not your title. Here's another modern example. You scroll social media, or you see someone your age earning more, traveling more, looking better. Your ego compares. Comparison creates envy. Envy creates bitterness. Bitterness creates silent self-hate. Zeno would call this irrational judgment. Why? Because you are measuring your internal worth by external outcomes. You have turned life into a competition of appearances. Stoicism turns life into a practice of virtue. And virtue is not comparative, it is personal. The only question that matters is, are you acting in accordance with reason? Not. Are you ahead of them? Zeno's Stoicism is not about becoming passive. It is about becoming invincible, and invincibility does not mean you cannot lose. It means you cannot be internally conquered. The ego is easily conquered. One insult, one rejection, one failure, one loss, and it collapses. But the Stoic self, grounded in reason, remains stable. That stability is rare. That stability is powerful. That stability is threatening to a chaotic world. Now, let me challenge you directly. If someone took away your job title tomorrow, who are you? If your partner left, who are you? If your followers disappeared, who are you? If you cannot answer without referencing something external, then your ego is your identity, and that is dangerous. Zeno's philosophy invites you to build an identity that cannot be taken, a character forged in discipline, a mind trained in rational judgment, a soul aligned with nature, meaning reality as it is, not as your ego wishes it to be. And here is the paradox. When you weaken the ego, you become stronger socially. When you stop chasing validation, you become more attractive. When you stop fearing criticism, you become more confident. When you stop needing to prove yourself, you become undeniable. Why? Because desperation repels, calm conviction attracts. Zeno understood human psychology 2,300 years ago. The ego seeks control through force. The Stoic gains influence through composure. Let's summarize Zeno's key teachings on ego in modern language. Control what is yours, your judgments and actions. Treat externals as preferred but never essential. Examine emotions as judgments, not truths. Detach self-worth from reputation. Accept impermanence as reality. Build identity on virtue, not validation. If you internalize this, your entire life changes. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop being manipulated by praise or criticism. You stop chasing empty status games. You start building inner authority, and that inner authority is magnetic. But here's the hard truth. Ego reduction feels like death, because in a way it is the death of the false self, the dramatic self, the offended self, the performative self, the insecure self disguised as confident. Zeno's Stoicism is not comfortable, it is not trendy, it is not soft. It demands that you confront your illusions daily. It demands that you question your emotional reactions. It demands that you let go of the identity you built to impress others. But what you gain is something rare, psychological freedom. So the next time you feel offended, pause. Ask, what judgment am I making? The next time you feel envy, pause. Ask, what am I attaching my worth to? The next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause. Ask, who am I trying to convince? That pause is Stoicism in action. That pause is Zeno speaking through time. And that pause might save you from years of unnecessary suffering. If this challenged you, good. If this made you uncomfortable, even better. Because growth begins where ego feels threatened. Subscribe to Stoic Gateway, because here we don't chase motivation. We build mental armor. And now, watch the next video on your screen where we break down how Marcus Aurelius mastered his inner world while ruling an empire, and how you can apply that same discipline in your modern life. Your ego can keep scrolling, or your character can evolve. The choice is yours.